How's it going, everyone? This is your new moon astrology horoscope for Friday, July 5th, 2024. I'm astrologer Alex Skyles, and welcome to the Moon Base. Hope you guys are doing great. Happy new moon in Cancer. I'm putting this up later because the new moon is happening right now. So I want to go into it, channeling the current energy. And I never usually do this. But I felt like for this new moon in Cancer, with the sun in Cancer and the moon being in its ruling sign for this new moon, I figured it'd be nice to kind of soak in what's really going on at the moment, in the moment. And in the moment, I'm feeling so much of this world. Like, the world is changing so quickly. Mars, Uranus coming together. We could see how Uranus and Taurus has changed the landscape. What the physical world really looks like. I mean, if we look back to 2018, things don't look the same. If we look back to 2008, things definitely don't look the same, especially on a psychological level with Pluto. Pluto is more about the psyche. When we're talking about Taurus and Mars, it's more about the physical landscape. With Uranus, it's how things have changed and, evolved, and certain new sudden shocks that have come into the world that have triggered cataclysmic events that forward on the evolution. And that's where Uranus and Pluto being in Aquarian energy has been exciting, but, it's been uncomfortable. And I think, too, because of this Pluto and Aquarius vibe, it's been hard to adjust to. I think we've had two moments in the past 2 years where we've had this. But with this new moon in Cancer and the first full moon in Capricorn and the second full moon in Capricorn, like, this is just really what I'm feeling, is that this world has gone through such a massive transformation, and that the world is about to change even more so, going through this moon cycle in very extreme ways. And I've been saying this all year, looking at this Mars-Uranus conjunction, that July is going to be the most radical month of the year. And with these new moons, with this new moon and these full moons, I just really get this feeling of this closing out of Pluto and Capricorn. This is really us looking at, like, the evolution of the structure of our lives and how what we've built and what we've created and the mountain we've climbed and the dips and dives and the dynamics of the highs and lows and the destruction and the rebuilding, and then the things falling apart and then rebuilding again. But every time things fall apart and then we rebuild, we get to the next level. And Capricorn is all about levels. Cancer is all about, being right here, right now, being secure with where you are at, being emotionally secure, being with people who make you feel safe, the people you're connected to, your lineage, right? Where you feel emotionally connected. So it is, like, we've gone through such a major transformation. Individually, collectively, this is very important for the United States. Obviously, being America's Pluto return and what happened 248 years ago, and how that shaped the entire world, not just the nation, but the whole world, because that's really what it was about. So it's like that system that we live under, that Capricornian system is been the protective layer, whether that was an illusion or not. That's been the protective layer of our Cancerian security here on the land that we live in, right? And I think that set the tone for the rest of the world as well. And us reflecting that, like as the moon does, we reflect to the world in how we do things. And this all began through these cycles 245, 50 years ago. And of course, yesterday being the 4th of July, and there is this kind of nostalgic feeling too. We were talking about yesterday with Neptune and Cancer energy. With Pisces, Neptune, and Cancer energy, it can be very nostalgic, we're holding on to the past. So with this Venus square Chiron, as well with this new moon, I think too, is us looking at ourselves and our identity and who we are, how we see ourselves, how we want to see ourselves, the light we want to see ourselves in, and the radicalization of how our individuality has shifted, our identity has shifted and transformed. And that transformation that has been spurred forward through a lot of painful stuff. So this new moon is helping us not just look at right now and what these next 15 days are going to be through this. I just really feel like this new moon is bringing up how we have changed on a very, very deep level and how we've evolved and transformed over these past 15 years. How the collective has transformed and evolved over the past 248 years. Because these are the last new moons that we're having through Pluto, bouncing back and forth, in and out of Capricorn. So the last new moons and full moons that we're having, dealing with this, and with Pluto coming into Capricorn in September, this is the final moment. This is the final climb to the peak. And I feel like we may have gotten to the peaks many times, and that's kind of what Pluto edging out of 27, 28, 29 Capricorn, then getting to Aquarius, then retrograding back into Capricorn. It's been like, you get to the top, and then, you fall and you have to take a step back. You have to climb again, and then Pluto goes retrograde. You fall back again, and now it's like Pluto getting back to this 29-degree mark is us finally getting to the top for the last time and being able to see things very clearly and understand what the past 15 years have been, what the past 248 years have been. And those two timelines, because whether we realize it or not, how the world is transforming, how the world has transformed, how our lives, how our personal lives have transformed, how we go about, manifesting and creating that physical reality where we can create that security, which Mars and Taurus is helping us do. And Mars and Uranus is really going to trigger us and help us find new ways of bringing a more secure, solid foundation into our lives and building that and putting that into action. But we're only going to find it in very odd, unique places, and sometimes in ways where we get triggered out of our comfort zone and we have to adjust and find new ways. You only find a new way when you have to. And I think Mars-Uranus conjunction is going to remind us of that. It's like, well, if I don't have to move, I won't. If someone could just bring me my meals and cook me my meals, I'll just sit here all day, But no, it's like, you got to get up, you got to go hunt the food, you got to pick the food or kill the food and, clean the food, prepare to cook it, and then you got to start the fire. You got to, go through all the basic Taurus survival skills, to actually find a new, unique way of doing things. And I think this Mars-Uranus is going to really bring in some new discoveries. I really do think that over this next month, something is going to be discovered where it can really alter our perception, alter what we thought was real or true, especially with Neptune here. It can alter our brain chemistry. When we're talking about Uranus, it's our brain chemistry, our neurology, our neurosystem, the neural connections, the neural pathways. So there can be some things that are going to alter our internal hormonal world that is going to affect our physical reality. And I think us preparing for what we're about to step into with Mars, Uranus, and Pluto coming back into Capricorn, this new moon is helping us look at not just the past 15 years and the past 248 years. Because I think it's really important with this new moon to look at those two timelines. And I know looking 250 years ago. It's like, well, how is that relevant to me? Well, this is Capricorn and Cancer, right? Cancer is, that more subdued internal space where you go into, right? But when we march up the mountain to Capricorn, it's like we have to expand upward into complete openness to the very top to see over everything. And it's kind of scary at the top. It's narrow. It's lonely. It's cold. Right? So that's being able to look at multiple timelines like that is really important with Cancer and Capricorn. And I know with Cancer, it's just like, well, I'm not really thinking about the rest of the world. I'm not really thinking about history. I'm just thinking about my basic needs and my survival and, my emotional frequency. And that's it. So I think being able to understand our role within the past 248 years and our role in this current cycle since 2008 and how our individual lives are impacted by all of that, I think we can find some real great answers, or at least piece together some new interesting information when we're looking at our personal lives and the people in our lives now, the people who are in our lives in 2008, the people who aren't in our lives now from that time period, and the new people who have come into our lives and the new relationships. Because a lot of new relationships have formed, a lot of new interesting partnerships and creative new ideas have come through. I mean, we got to think the last new moon we had was with Venus and the Sun. This is the Venus-Sun Cazimi. And before that, we had the Taurus new moon with Venus and Jupiter. So, there's been a massive expansion and outward, reflection of new relationships forming in our lives. This new moon, it has Venus in the same sign. It's, about 8 degrees away, roughly. If I did the math right, I don't know. But, the last new moon that we had was really focused on our relationships. I really feel like this new moon, or the last new moon, was really focused on relationships. This one is more focused solely on the bigger picture of the evolution of things. In my opinion, I'm really feeling the depth of this Pluto cycle that we've been going through. More so, I feel like this new moon is giving a lot of clarity of what the past 15 years have been. A lot more understanding, but this new moon is also giving us a good trajectory. And I said this on the Capricorn full moon, is that, this full moon, these moon cycles, the first and second full moon in Capricorn and the new moon in Cancer are going to be giving us this reflection of not just the past, but also of giving us a little insight and, some intuitive hunches about what Pluto and Capricorn is going to bring. And we've already seen a lot of things come up that have been like, holy shit, you got to be kidding me. We're stepping back into this. Well, this is the final moment where we're going to come in and finish it up and wrap it up. So, I think to understand how to make better moves and make better decisions as we move into the next Capricorn full moon, and we move into Pluto coming into Capricorn in September, which is September 1st, which is around that Virgo full moon. And I'm saying, I really think that Virgo full moon is going to be one of the most interesting full moons, or new moons of the year. The Virgo new moon, right around when Pluto comes back to Capricorn at 29 degrees, 59 minutes. So it is that new moon where Pluto is going to be where the Sun and Pluto met at 29 degrees, 59 minutes back in January 20th. So this new moon is really giving us an opportunity to look at our personal lives and what makes us feel secure. the people who really make us feel safe and secure, and the people we want to be around, and definitely the people we don't want to be around. With the South Node in Libra, just in this Black Moon Lilith, it's like, anything that we get caught up in the same loops or patterns or playing out the same codependent cycles with people and relationships. It's like we're done. It's over. We're the nodes are at 10 degrees now, and Venus and Chiron making their square here as this new moon is starting, and this will be going on for the next day or so. This is where in our relationships we have to really face where people who are really closest to us and where we feel really, where we really do feel that deep, true love, but sometimes it doesn't express itself on the surface, or it gets hardened, or, the identity and the ego becomes so fixated on itself where it can't even be outside of itself and understand and have compassion for others, and where it gets so trapped within itself. So there is this conflict with Venus and Cancer squaring Chiron and Aries, where it's like we have to soften up a little bit. We can't just be so hard and fast and hot all the time, because that's just going to keep reopening the wounds. We have to soften up. We have to let the water flow. We have to break the dam, essentially. And I think with Venus and Cancer, it can kind of help us break through that dam and start to help us weed through the pile of crap. And Mercury and Leo, still reminding us that we have to keep a positive mindset, even when things get difficult, even when the emotions get so intense or the wounds pop up again with Venus square Chiron. Nostalgic feelings of the past, or, positive and negative. I think with Neptune and Saturn in Pisces now retrograde, a lot of feelings from the past. Oh, it's like, I remember when I used to feel that way. That felt so good. Let's try that again. That's come up for me personally in the past week or so. And it's been like, oh shit, here we go. Neptune, Saturn, Pisces retrograde testing you. It's like, what are your boundaries? Are you gonna stick with your boundaries? You're gonna stick with your routine? You're gonna stick with the things that you're gonna stick with the plan, right? Are you gonna go off course? Are you bored with Jupiter and Gemini? How bored are you? With Pluto and Capricorn, it's in Mars and Taurus. It's all about consistency, right? So during Pluto and Capricorn, if you stay consistent, even through the chaos, even through the trauma, and even through the nonsense, if you stayed consistent and you steadily grown and build, even when things fall apart, and you have to keep moving forward. If you stayed on that consistent path towards the top, there's a lot to be confident about. Even when the confidence feels low, or the libido feels low, or things feel slow. With Mars and Taurus, things feel really fucking slow, right? With Venus square Chiron, it's like the libido is low. The energy is very low, right? So once we have Venus and Leo, that vibe will change completely. We still have to deal with the Sun square Chiron as well. But then we'll have Venus trine Neptune coming next week. That'll be a lot of fun. Creatively, spiritually, a lot of harmony that is coming through. And there is a lot of amazing music being played in the sky right now. There really is. I think there is a lot of exciting things to look forward to with Mars, Uranus. I think there's a lot of exciting things to look forward to with this new moon. But I think what's exciting is looking forward towards, okay, like we have conquered the world with Pluto and Capricorn, or the world is maybe conquered itself, or maybe, it's just learning how to conquer your own mountain. I think we all have our own mountains to climb, many mountains. I feel personally with Pluto and Capricorn, so I've climbed many mountains, literally and not literally, more metaphorically, but many. So this is the final one, and that preparation of, okay, we're entering into a new phase where we are getting ready for that last fucking push. And we want to utilize this new moon to position ourselves, because with Cancer and Capricorn, It's all about your position. Okay, with Cancer, you need to be secure, you need to be safe, right? And when you can create security and safety, then you can position yourself where you need to be to align yourself with your destiny. Because Capricorn is all about destiny and fate and getting as close as you can to God. And that's what it is. When you get to the top of the mountain, that's the closest you can physically get to the heavens, or, beyond this physical plane. So this new moon is preparing us to enter into that new cycle of this final swing, and being confident and not letting the emotions and the intensity of what we've experienced the past 15 years overwhelm us. And I think that can come up too with Neptune at 29 degrees, where it's like when you start looking and thinking about the past, it can get so overwhelming. But then also it can get addicting. You get stuck in that same old feeling. Vice versa, when you're talking about the reality of the past, it can get overwhelming. When you're talking about the fantasy or what made you feel good, or what took you out of reality, past situations or past things that you were stuck on that pulled you out of reality, where it's like, man, I want to go back to that, Well, that's only going to pull you back into hell at this point, at least in your mind, not literally or physically. But with Neptune and Saturn, it's like, fuck, you don't want to go back into the same old shit. You want to let this new moon help us prepare us for this new wave that's coming through. It's, by the time, we get to Pluto going back into Capricorn, all the outer planets are going to be retrograde. So all the outer planets are Uranus and Jupiter still need to go retrograde, which Uranus will go retrograde next at 27 degrees of Taurus. So it is. This new moon is really helping us understand the past 15 years, the past 248 years, and preparing for this last final moment that we're going to have through the second half of 2024 as we move into the most interesting part of the year. July is the most intense month. The second half of this year is just wild. It's going to be wild. The eclipses, the last eclipses in Aries and Libra in October. Massive change is on the horizon. Mars-Uranus is going to trigger some massive evolutionary change. Pluto coming back into Capricorn. Mars-Uranus, more revolutionary change. With Pluto coming back into Capricorn. Dude, this last moment of 2024, the second half, this is massive evolutionary change, which could be extreme. It will be extreme. It will be very extreme. It's already been extreme, and if we thought that it's been extreme up until this moment, this will be the most extreme moment that we've seen with Pluto and Capricorn. And it is Mars-Uranus that's going to be kicking that off. And it is these two full moons in Capricorn and this new moon in Cancer that's like opening that portal to the final boss battle. It's like, okay, it's like we're in in this new moon, it's almost like we're in the waiting room. We're in the waiting room. We're in limbo, right? We're in, we're in between dimensions right now. We're not necessarily in the physical world. I'm giving it an example. It's like Beetlejuice. If you ever seen Beetlejuice, you remember when they're in the waiting room waiting to fucking reincarnate or whatever. I forgot how it goes. But it is like waiting to go back into reality, like where our soul leaves our bodies and we go back to the waiting room. It's like we're in the waiting room right now, getting ready to step into the most intense, revolutionary, and evolutionary moment that we've ever seen in our lifetime. And if you look back to all of these moments, the last time Uranus was in Taurus, The last time Neptune was in Pisces during the Civil War, and the last time Pluto was here at the Revolutionary War and the beginning of the French Revolution. It's like all three of those timelines colliding at this moment is very significant because it was those moments that shaped the world that we live in now. And this is the final moment where we are stepping in, where we are closing that out, where we're closing that world out and stepping into what the new world is going to look like. And it is these portals, these 2 full moons in Capricorn and this new moon in Cancer that we are stepping through, that's taking us into that, right? The first half of 2024 will not look or feel anything like the second half of 2024. The beginning of 2024 to me is like an anomaly of the astrology, with the amount of forward momentum and the amount of conjunctions that we had. Like, it was spectacular, right? Now we're going through the intensity. We're moving into the intensity now. We're starting to. July's going to kick it off. By September, we're going to fully be in it. By October, November, December, you already know. So, this is a preparation. We're in the waiting room. We're in limbo. We're getting ready to, because once we get to that second full moon in Capricorn, with that Mars-Uranus conjunction, we're going to be in. We're basically like, you know, getting ready to jump out of the plane with our parachute and fucking do this thing, you know. By the time we get to that second full moon, by the time Pluto comes back into Capricorn, we are ready to pull that parachute and put our feet on the ground and start moving through this last segment of this evolutionary phase that's been going on for 240 something years. Well, we got the 5 of Wands, so reversed. So, you know, with this Venus square Chiron, there's a lot of quarreling in relationships. You know, just there's so many different dynamics, especially with the South Node in Libra. It's like so many different kinds of relationships where there's just turmoil and chaos and things going completely apeshit. Or things just like boil over emotionally with this new moon in Cancer. It's like, you know, like it's not even real. A lot of these issues are not even real. A lot of these issues that are coming up that are influencing and impacting relationships are not even coming from us itself, you know. It's not even coming from, there are outside sources that are influencing us and that we need to awaken and be aware of and understand how to operate and work with that. Because sometimes, you know, when, you know, you get caught up in arguing and fighting and all that stuff, it's like, by the end of it, it's like, what were we even talking about? Where did that even come from? And it was some TV show that you were watching that triggered a conversation, that triggered an argument, you know. 5 of Wands reversed is very much that kind of energy of like, what the fuck? What were we even fighting over? You know, let's just be real. Let's just be ourselves. Let's listen to each other and let's speak from the heart. With Mercury and Leo, it is speaking from the heart, being honest and being yourself with this Venus square Chiron, but also being compassionate and loving and, you know, understanding everybody's state and where they're at, because no one right now is on the same emotional frequency. Everybody's level of emotional capacity and what we can handle right now is different because we are doing a lot. We're handling a lot of different things right now, you know, and that 5 of Wands too. It's like, you know, maybe we're handling too much. Maybe there's some things we need to, you know, move out of the way. And definitely with this new moon too, it's about to happen here. I mean, we're just an hour away. Is, you know, finishing things that have been lingering, that, you know, are piling up. You don't want to let things pile up with Neptune and Saturn and Pisces. Things can get overwhelming, then things can pile up, and then, you know, with that Mars Uranus, and we don't want to get to that place. So, anyways, I'm glad I got to do this on the new moon, during the new moon, and I'm loving Cancer season. honestly. And I think too, this is a good reminder too. As much as Pluto in Capricorn is playing into this new moon and these full moons in Capricorn that we're having here in Cancer season, it is the reminder that Mercury in Leo is the message that we're being given from Mercury right now, because Mercury is leading the way, is we have to maintain a positive mindset. Even when things are crazy and chaotic and unexplainable and we can't control everything as much as we'd like to. With Cancer and Capricorn energy, it's like we want to control the emotions. Oh, we want to control our reality. It's like, well, sometimes we just need to have fun. And I think Mercury is sending us that message because, Cancer and Capricorn can get very serious. I know Cancer doesn't get associated with being serious, but Cancer takes things very personal, in Cancer season. And, people tend to take things a little bit more personal anyway, right? So it is. With Mercury and Leo, not taking everything so personal, knowing that the intensity with Venus, Chiron square, and the emotional stuff that's popping up and the painful things, we're not going to have any cardinal squares to Chiron for a minute, which is good. And we've gone through a lot with Chiron. So this healing that our identity and ourselves and our individual selves have been going through, and the transformation of that, this transformation through this new moon with Chiron is healing relationships with the people you love the most, healing familial relationships. With Chiron in Aries and Venus in Cancer squaring, it's like I was wrong. I didn't make the best decision, or admitting that you were wrong in a situation can be very healing, because sometimes with Chiron and Aries right now, it's hard to admit that you're wrong. Even with the North Node here, it's like, you know what? Even if I was wrong, I'm still going to keep moving forward and whatever. Fuck it. I don't feel anything, right? And Venus in Cancer is like, well, I just want you to understand me, because, things weren't always this way. And that's true. Things change as time moves on. But in a moment like this with this new moon, I think keeping that positive mindset, admitting you're wrong, and preparing for this next intense, massive, revolutionary and evolutionary wave that we are about to step into over these next days, 15 days, and the next 6 months, ending 2024. So I'm going to end this here. I hope you guys have a wonderful Cancer new moon, and I'm glad that I got to do this during the new moon, and I hope this gets to you in time. And I'm going to leave this up for the weekend because I think this is where the focus needs to really lie through the weekend as well, because we're going to be feeling it. And the moon will come into Leo this weekend, and it will be a fun weekend. The weekend will lighten up a bit after this more emotionally heavy new moon that's coming through here within just an hour and a half. So have a wonderful Friday on this new moon, and have a wonderful weekend. I'm not going to do a weekend horoscope. I'm going to leave this for the weekend because there's a lot in this video, and I think that we can kind of stew on some of these things till Monday. So I will see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend, and peace out.